Good morning. Good morning. Benner, we got an echo.
I don't know. Do you have an echo? Test,
Everything seems.
test.
I hear you echoing. I hear me echoing.
I'm not hearing an
Real.
echo.
Hey, Hells, disconnect from Discord voice. It's probably that.
Okay. What about now? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Uh,
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Big save. Big time save. Well, good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Today is July
That's why
25th, 2023. You're so skilled. So skilled.
that's why I get paid the big bucks.
Big bucks. Big bucks. Coding, hacking, you name it.
You
Even
name it.
even knowing how to clear some cookies every now and again. The dude is on top of shit. All right. Not a whole hell of a lot going on from a headline news standpoint. Still very muted. Federales meet today to start their little meeting as far as what they're going to do with rates. Canada basically stepped out and said that they're not looking to raise rates anymore for the rest of the year. In fact, there is whispers of cutting rates by March of next year to start that cycle of reducing rates. The ER season has been interesting. It's been about as expected. There really hasn't been anything that's been completely eye-opening, popping, something to look at. Is being like, oh, okay, the worst of the worst is on its way. What's interesting is like you have certain things being posted as far as this is Dave Jackson, and this is somebody posted this in the room of Night Swift. I guess they do shipping, that kind of stuff, freight. It's like they're saying that they have never seen demand fall so far so fast without being accompanied by an economic recession. The question is it a them thing or is it a market thing? I think that we need more in order to make that decision. But overall, again, Sonny, I don't have anything on my side. Bender, I think it's best that we probably jump into your charts and see what's going on, maybe some story time, and go from there. Very muted, other than having some pretty massive ERs this evening. And we have more economic data coming in after open. So please, grip and rip.
Well, I told you um, that we talked about the fences that I've been trying to put up around the property. Quick little story. We did one fence line that was about 1,000 feet long, 1,100, something like that. We set the T-posts ourselves, and that side of the property we were able to get them in the ground. Well, we moved to the other fence line that goes a long ways at the front of the property, and it's about 1,000 feet. We start trying to put in T-posts. This was a week ago, and it took probably 45 minutes for us to get like 4 of them in the ground because it was just solid rock. And I was like, screw this. We're gonna hire somebody else, find somebody else to do it. So I get this guy that comes out. He's 21. He's been doing fences since he was 16. He's got the equipment for it, and he shows up at the property yesterday with his equipment, and he's looking at the fence line and how many posts he's got to set, and he's like, yeah, no problem. We'll get these. We had agreed that he was gonna leave. They're 6.5-foot T-posts, and he was gonna put them a foot in the ground, so he was gonna leave 5.5 feet above. And of course, straight line and level front to back, like nice clean fence line. So he's like, yep, no problem. I said, how long do you think it's going to take you to do them all? And he said, oh, it goes pretty quick. I should be done in an hour. And I'm like, I told him, I said, dude, if you get this done in an hour, I'm never setting another T-post myself again. I'll just have you do them all, because it was cheap. We were kind of joking about that yesterday. It was like $900 is what he quoted me. And for me to do it myself, just to rent the equipment was like, $275 or $300 for the day or something like that. He showed up at 10:30, 10:45. He was still there at 5:45 p.m. And it was no longer just him. He had somebody else come help him. And I was like, I'm like, so not too easy, is it? And he's like, I've never seen ground like this. I've never seen rocks like this. Normally I could just go straight through them. He had like a pile of bent T-posts, shredded T-posts. And he was just like, he only lives like 45 minutes away and he's done fences in my area. He's like, I've never seen anything like this. I'm like, I've been dealing with it for like a year. That's when we bought the property and we started trying to dig holes and put in fences. And it's like, seriously, the ground is so freaking hard. It's ridiculous. You can't put a post in the ground. You can't dig a hole. You get 2 inches below the surface with a auger bit and rocks just start pouring out. I mean,
I got to ask, Bender, is there a moral to this story?
No.
Oh, so it's like a Stonkington story.
It was just I'm just sharing because we've been talking about the fences and stuff. Okay. And I don't know, you can probably come up with a moral. I told the guy, I'm like, I get that you own a business and that sometimes jobs don't go as planned. And I'm sorry you spent so much extra time. I was very upfront about what this ground was when I asked for help. Like, it's hard.
Did you give him more money or did you just swallow the L?
I actually gave him less money. Because not a whole lot less, but I gave him a little bit less because the tops of the posts weren't level, which means we'd have to go back with a bandsaw and cut the tops off to level them out. And I'm like, that's going to be another 2 hours. So, I'm going to have to give you less money. Which was okay. It was okay. I had this conversation with him. I told him, I said, I don't want to be unreasonable. I don't want to be a dick. And I said, but this is what we agreed on and that's not what happened. And I don't want you, I know you came all the way out here with your equipment. You spent all day out here, the fuel costs and everything else. So let's do what's fair for you and fair for me. We're going to have to cut the tops off of these. It's going to take probably 2 hours. That's another, probably 125. How about I take 125 off what I was going to pay you? And he was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And I said, I won't charge you for the bent T-posts because that was like another $50. So anyway, that was my story. All right, here's the charts. Let me flip over to, here's the ES. And this is a 60-minute chart. You can see we have the London session high up here, 45.93. Asia session low, 45.79.75. What's interesting to me about this is you can see all these 60-minute fair value gaps here that we keep leaving them behind, right? And that is the trend right now. These aren't filling in. We just keep leaving them behind. We have the 60-minute volume imbalance up here. That's got my eye right now. I'm looking for us to lay a candle over that. Don't know that it happens today. It might. I tend to think it might. But that is hanging out up here. We got the channel top still up here. But if you look at the 60-minute, it looks like until, at this point, until a break and hold below, say, 45.50 area, you get the 60-minute fair value gap right here. We get a break below that and hold under 45.50, then you can start to see this potentially come down to the bottom of this channel and start to fill in some of this stuff down to that trend line support, the bottom of that parallel channel, right? But until that happens, it's, the program is leave some of this stuff behind, keep walking up. I think a break. The reason this volume imbalance kind of catches my attention is because that will be, I think, the signal. If we can get through it and hold it and then make a higher high, that would tell me that we're probably coming up in here 46, maybe take out this 46.10, potentially back up to the top of this channel, 46.30 or so. But because that volume imbalance is there, for me personally, I will be cognizant of the fact that they may fill that in, but not really go anywhere. and then pull back down. And if that's the case, then I'll look for it to take out that Asia session low if we haven't already, and then potentially trade into this 60-minute fair value gap down here and fill that in. So, those volume imbalances are pretty good indicators. If we can get through it and stay above it, maybe get that retest off the that 4620, 4630 area. And if we get through it, pull right back down and use that as resistance. Again, then we're looking at that London session low or down into the 60-minute fair value gap. That's about it on the ES chart. Quick, simple. I can zoom into a 15-minute, but it's, same story.
Yeah.
Not really anything different to talk about except that, maybe we go take out this. So I guess that's the only other thing is if we take out the Asia session low here, pre-market, and then start pushing back up from there and leave this London session high, sitting out there. If it starts moving up, then that becomes that first target. If we get below it, can't reclaim it, that Asia session low, it's same thing, right? And we're looking down here into this 60-minute fair value gap. You've got right here, a line right there. You've got relative equal lows hanging out down here at 45.60, 45.60.25. If it starts pulling this direction, that's likely a target right there. I wouldn't necessarily look for this to hold, this 60-minute fair value gap to hold. If it's coming down here, this would be a potential target or a likely target. And that's about it.
All right. Sonny, what you got, bud?
Morning, everyone. Light on the headlines. So TSM plans to invest about $3 billion into the advanced chip plant in Taiwan. Main focus would be developing AI chips. Last week they had said they didn't have enough capacity to make all those chips, so they're putting about $3 billion in. FDIC sent out a letter to the banks telling them to stop manipulating the deposit data.
Yeah, I saw that. What was that about?
So, the banks have been talking about how much money people have been submitting and shit like that. FDIC kind of find out that's not true. They're not accurately reporting. It's like, potential sales that's going to happen, but they book it as it already happened kind of deal. So that's what FDIC has been telling them. I think, somebody needs to do that for the airlines also when they say, we're fully booked and you get on the plane and there's like 100 empty seats on there.
Got it.
That's another story.
So you just certain layers of fraud is what you're talking about. Like just
yeah. I mean, it's a bank. What do you expect?
Just a little bit of fraud. Just a little.
Yeah. So TikTok is launching an e-commerce business in the US to sell made in China goods. So they will store, ship, do returns, handle all of that. So I was looking at TikTok numbers. They have over 1 billion daily active users worldwide, quite a few in the US. So if this starts making a headline, you could see some downside in Snap, Amazon, Shop. It's a direct competition to Amazon and Shop. Spotify had their ER this morning. They had their best quarter for new users sign up, but they fell, I think, about 10% this morning because the royalty costs have gone up and they are paying out a whole shitload of money for the podcasts. I'll definitely be.
Maybe they should follow the Netflix model and not produce any or make any content, and then they can make money. Maybe.
Yeah, they can just borrow it from YouTube and all the other platforms and just recycle it. That'll work for them. On the auto side, so GM had their EM this morning. They guided up and everything, but I think during the call they did put out a little thing about they're having issues with the EV battery suppliers, which they hadn't talked about earlier. So even though they guided up, I think there could be a little downside on this. NIO made a nice move this morning. They got some investment company to take up a 5% stake in that. It moved up nicely. And Morgan Stanley says that Mobileye deserves to be in your AI portfolio. So Mobileye does like LiDAR type stuff for autonomous vehicles. It's a spinoff from Intel. Intel owns a huge stake in it. I know Mel has been playing that for a couple of weeks now. It moves nicely when we do see flow on that. On the upgrade side, we have Datadog, ZS, Meta. So Meta's upgrade is because New Street Research likes their AI efforts. And the other upgrade is WMT. WMT had a nice move yesterday. Downgrades, RXT, Pager, PGR, I think it's PagerDuty. Disney got a downgrade, Goldman Sachs, and TSCO. So this TSCO downgrade is coming right before of their earnings day later today, I think. They think the inflation hasn't helped them, and they're not going to have good sales. That's about it.
Man says that's about it, which means there's no more left. Stonkington, paging the great Stonkington.
I'm here. Hello. Let's see. Discussion topic today, because I think if I said world record again, Hell's brain might explode. Here's the most California thing I could ever have imagined would be going on. Wastewater treated beer. You take a shower, you take a piss, you flush it out, and some guy out there is making you a beer. What the fuck?
Wow. Hey, did you hear about that guy that dipped his balls in glitter?
I don't know that I did.
Pretty nuts, right?
Glitter balls?
Pretty nuts, right?
Yep.
I think it's too early for Stonky.
Yeah, it is. We've had this before where you guys are.
I don't know. I think he's still recovering from his weekend. You know, that seemed like there was a lot going on. A lot of
the whole blanket conspiracy.
A lot of craziness going on. Those wild kids over there.
I think I need a blanket. Oh, all right. Let's. The wastewater beer got me now. All right, let's look at the charts.
So Bender, I'm sorry, Stonkington, but I'm pretty sure that if we were all to hang out with each other, you and I would have to go extra on top just to like help the boy. Like we would have to like raise the bar so high as far as trying to get arrested. It's ridiculous. I think we would have to do that. We would have an obligation.
Well, do all the things that would get normal people arrested. But, you know, if you've got enough experience on how to avoid that, then you get away with it most of the time.
Correct. Most of the time. Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Mark your journals. Mark your diaries for whenever we all hang out. That's
We will corrupt the Stonkington.
Yes, no doubt.
Oh man, Hell's dad's gonna buy me a lap dance or something. This will be good. All right,
buy your own lap dance, Sonny. You buy your own lap dance, you're a real man.
Exactly, and that's not the type of thing that's going to get us arrested. So you got to think bigger.
Prostitutes? No, I guess depending on the town.
I like these free, but carry on.
All right, so a little busy chart here, so we'll just kind of talk through it. We have the falling wedge that it looks like we're out of, which now to me we kind of start to look like inverse head and shoulders here. Maybe we got a right shoulder, we got a head, maybe something. We got this fair value gap below on the 4 hour. That was this pop overnight. Pink line here, that's going to be the new week opening gap. We used it as support yesterday. Orange box below, that's going to be our weekly fair value gap, which is the bottom of that candle to that one. So I guess I'll clean that up there. It's going to be that. And then the yellow box below that is going to be the daily, which is the bottom of this candle to there. So we do have some downside targets if we start to push down here on the NASDAQ and this inverse head and shoulders fails. So if we're going to be looking to the upside, I have this order block line. That's Mr. T looking for like an up close candle followed by a push down. So that'd be the midpoint of this candle. We also probably would have the midpoint of this candle. I just didn't mark it because it's basically our neckline of our inverse head and shoulders there. And then yellow box above would be targets above daily fair value gap. And then very similar to what Bender noted, volume imbalance. That is also here on the NASDAQ, this pink box above. It just you can clearly see the base of this candle to the top of that one, that gap. There's some algo that's going to say we got to go up there at some point. So we'll just kind of have to give it some time, but I would imagine we're going to get up there at some point. Russell. Let's jump over to Russell. Russell looking like it's having a big sell-off here pre-market. Falling wedge still intact, potentially on longer time frames. New week opening gap, pink box there. And then let's see, downside target. If we break down below the new week opening gap, we've got this fair value gap that goes from the bottom of this candle to this one over here. So we could be potentially looking at that 1963.50. And then this sell-off here has now created this. There's a fair value gap here above that could give us some upside targets, which would just be this area here. So we'll kind of see what we get. Still going to be watching flow, going to be watching for this falling wedge, and then we've got this little gap above. So we'll kind of see what we get there on the Russell.
Didn't we get some bearish Russell activity yesterday? I think you called that out a couple of times.
Yeah, I was trying to. I went through some flow, and yeah, there was definitely some IWM puts for like August.
And then that RTY, like the 3X bear. Yeah.
Oh yeah, SRTY, I think.
SRT, right.
Yep. So we did see that yesterday. So we saw calls on SRTY, which is the Ultra Pro leveraged bear Russell. So I posted this link in the room if you're wondering what some of these are. There we go. This is a good website. I posted it in the room. You can search my posts, and it just gives you what all these are. So this is important stuff to be aware of if you are not. There's just some of the other Russell Bear. That's the other one. But yeah. So let's see. Individual tickers. NVIDIA actually had a decent dark pool yesterday, which was why it hasn't been getting much lately. That's why I wanted to focus on it. And that came in here. That's 446.12. So above, I'm going to be watching 451 flat. You can see the importance of that line. Bounce, reject yesterday. If we lose the dark pool, then the next target below I'm going to be looking at is that 443.05. Red line right there. And we're just kind of in this. This is happening again. Good old NVIDIA in a big rising channel that everyone's like, oh boy, I can't wait to short NVIDIA, and it just rips everyone's face off. So we'll see what we get on that one. And then with Microsoft ER, and I was like, Apple was kind of boring yesterday. I was like, maybe we can watch Netflix. So Netflix has got dark pool here that it's kind of sitting on 428.50. And then below, we've got this 425.90 would be my put trigger. You can see it's been important in the past. And then above, a pretty clear resistance for whatever reason up there at 431.05. Prior support becomes resistance on that one for Netflix. I saw some bearish multi-legs, and then Phil actually responded with some bulls out to September. So just going to kind of see for weeklies if we get anything, but that's all I got for today.
All right, very good. So there was some data posted in the room a few minutes ago going back to global GDP. I think it's important to kind of walk through these. Japan continues to be something that is I'm borderline in awe of how they've handled their post-pandemic economy, and they raised their GDP from 1.3 to 1.4. China maintains its growth forecast at 5.2, but I think that's a little bit sketchy. Just opinion, no fact really surrounding that. UK from minus 0.3 to positive 0.4. So they're raising their growth expectation. Germany was really the only one that cut their outlook overall. Everything else was flat to a little bit up. Just really, really interesting in looking at some of these as we're coming into it. What it's looking like is that overall rates have pretty much peaked. Pretty much peaked is what the tea leaves are starting to say. So whether or not that peak is, maybe 25 to a half basis point higher, we don't know necessarily, but we are within range of peak rates as long as everything remains the way that it is. You guys have anything else? Bender lost his interwebs. He's doing some re-interweb things.
I'm good.
Are you sure, Stonkington?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Sonny, you got anything? All right. We have 13 minutes till open. 13 minutes till open. We'll see you soon.